on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. I am Truck Driver Sean. I am at home in my little studio area, music area, whatever you want to call it, where I have fun chugging away and just being a shitty guitar player on YouTube. Subscribe to my shit. All right. So this right here is a brand new Archon 50 by Paul Reed Smith. As we all remember, they had an amazing run with the Archon 50 and Archon 100 because they were phenomenal amps. Very expensive. This is pretty much half the cost of the old one, right? For good damn reason. This is not the same amp. So if you're buying this, you're like, oh wow, I can now afford an Archon. You are not getting an Archon. Let's get that right settled. It's called an Archon, but it's not an Archon. It's sort of like if you move and you've lived the same place for 8 years and you're a little kid. You've seen the same Santa every year. You sat in his lap, told him what fucked up shit you wanted your parents to buy you, and then all of a sudden you move, and it's a different Santa calling himself Santa. And you're supposed to be like, nothing's fishy about this at all. Here we go. We got the Archon 50, 2021. Fuck stick box. That's what I'm calling it. Does it sound good? Yes. Is it worth $900? Absolutely. But is it as good as the previous version of the Archon? Fuck no. Not even close. Not even the same amp. You know, this is like the equivalent of, you got that chick that can give you the good fucking twisting, perfect tug of war with your dong. You're like, ah! She's fucking going crazy, right? And you're like, ah! You're just going crazy. You can't breathe. Your left eye's twitching. You're just thinking of Roseanne Barr naked and all kinds of stuff. Then you kind of like get that same situation where if your hand's asleep and you're like, oh, what happens if I juggle my nuts when my hand's asleep? That's what this amp is. Yeah, I know. There's going to be a better way to explain it. But that's just where my head was at tonight. And I've been up for a really long time. And I don't give a shit. I don't get paid to make these videos. I do them for fucking fun. Why? Because they're fucking fun. And I'm an asshole. And I like to have a good time. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to take a little peek-see under the hood of this epic piece of shit. That's not really a piece of shit. It's just, I've had the regular Archon. This is not it. It's not even close. So we're going to turn off the dead wheel. And we're just going to play with, we'll get it set up on high gain here. High gain. And we're going to do it on the regular. The bright switch. All right. So everybody's like, it's a little flubby. Yes. So from what I understand, if I understand correctly, which 9 out of 10 times, I'm guessing at best, the volume is actually your gain, because there's no fucking gain knob on this thing. You're in the dark, man. You got to play around with the master and the volume to get your happy spot. So the volume kind of acts like a gain. So we're gonna knock that bitch in half. See where we are now. It should be a little more like the 90s rock and roll tone. Take the bright switch off. Down to a quarter of the way on the gain, and we should have kind of like a classic rock sound. Turn the bright on. we're probably going to get nothing. Ta-da! We got nothing. So I kind of like it between 3/4 and a half. It's kind of a happy place for me. So you're going to be like, this amp's like kind of missing that little thing. Yes, you would be right. This is a fat motherfucker, sort of like me. Now, I wish we had a dead-wheeled audio DX that I could slap up to my bitch tits and get me to sound nice and thin and sharp, but that's not where we are today. We have not progressed that far. We're too worried about seeing if Joe Biden's going to remember where he is today. All right, so get the dead-wheeled audio on there. So as you see, you hook your right snot box up to it, you can get this motherfucker to sound good. So, is it worth $900? Yes. But I even showed you the best part about this amp. To all my chug brethren, go get a cup of coffee. This section is not for you. And I don't need to hear you whine like a bunch of 5-year-olds just had the teat taken out of your mouth and was told you're never going to get it again until you're a grown man, and even then you're going to have to struggle for it. Clean channel on this thing is fucking phenomenal. Alright, turn this dead wheel off. Let's change channels. This is all on the bridge pickup, by the way. That's the clean channel. I have it a little dialed in, so I'm going to show you a little bit of the differences. If you take the volume down a little bit, it cleans up a little bit more. It gets a little more dry. But I like the volume up. I like the volume up just a little bit. Like it with a little extra bass. Out bass! Oh, look at you go! Very chimey. Almost like it has like a built-in touch of reverb and touch of chorus. It's super chimey, super musical. The clean channel is the rock star of this amp. Seriously. If you want to get this amp and you're looking, or if you're looking for a fantastic amp that is a clean platform amp, this is loud as shit. And for $900, you have the option to have the electric side of it if you want. It also takes overdrive pedals and dirt boxes, distortion boxes, preamps, takes them all like a champ. But we have to mention that is not an Archon. It can say Archon, but it's not an Archon. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen the toilet paper that's in the wrapper that just says toilet paper? If you have diarrhea, do you want to wipe your ass with that? I don't. Hand me the motherfucking Charmin, son. Because that's what says toilet paper. It's not Charmin. It's just toilet paper. And this is just an amp that PRS put out that says Archon. At half the price of a real Archon that they don't make anymore. Which is a shame. Because the original Archon is fucking amazing. But for the budget-friendly guy who flavors their tone anyway, you're going to do fine with this, and the price point's actually pretty fair for what you get. But it's not an Archon. They should have called it something else. They just should have. It's a super simple amp. There's nothing complicated about it. You're not getting no extras. You're not getting no bells, no whistles, no nothing. You got a bright switch, and you should count your lucky stars you got that, because they didn't throw fucking nothing in this motherfucker whatsoever. And it runs pretty quiet. You do the power section does give you a little bit of so you are going to need to get yourself some kind of noise gate, at least for your effects loop. I would always recommend using a 4-cable method. I will say that forever. People, you can argue with me all you want. 4-cable method's the best, and I use it in fucked up situations all the time, and I keep my shit quiet. Granted, I'm not using one today because, well, I want to show you what the amp does. It's not my job to make the amp sound good. The amp should just sound good. So I'm just plugging in. You guys are hearing what I'm doing with it right out the gate. I literally just took it out of the box. Well, technically, that's a lie. Booty called Becky took it out of the box. I just hooked it up. And you're getting that. Like, literally, you've been with me for 95% of the time that I've used this. I just made sure everything worked on it before I started making a video, so I don't have to have an incident like I had last time. But yeah. Is it worth the money? Yes. Archon? No. Powdersmith gives you good stuff. They're a great company. I don't understand why they call this the Archon, because it is not an Archon. And you can see a lot of reviews out there. God knows I've seen them. People spend a lot of time making things sound good, and then you do what I did here. You brought it home, and it does not sound that good until I start throwing things at it. Sorry, but if you want this thing to sound good, unless you're looking for absolute shit tone, some people just love the shit tone works for them. It doesn't sound like shit tone when they play it, so I shouldn't call it shit tone. But this doesn't work for me without hooking stuff up to it, and that's kind of my final verdict. Is it worth $900? Yep, sure is. It's a 50-watt amp, kicks ass. Put a pedal on it, you're good to go, man. You'll get to Chug City. You can play blues on it. You can play rock on it. You probably can do country stuff. If I knew how to fucking play it, I'd play it, but I just don't, so I'm a low talent hack. But yeah, it's good all around amp. It's nothing special. It's not gonna break your wallet as far as like the grand scheme of amps at this point in time. Yeah, it's interesting. Sure enough. All right, very cool. Thank you for tuning in. Please take a second and subscribe to my fuckery. It helps. It really does. When I'm trying to borrow gear from, people and companies. When you start looking like you have people paying attention, it helps. Not that I can't complain. I do pretty good with having people let me borrow stuff, but it'd be really nice, to not have to do that whole almost on the verge of begging shit. It'd just be pretty dope. Anyhow, gear used today, obviously, we're using the Archon 50, the 2021 version of it, which was supposed to come out in 2020, but didn't quite make it. It showed up late. I'm using the 2017 Paul Reed Smith Mark Tremonti Wood Library. I believe they call it Purple Heart. And the Dead Whale Duality DX, which has been in bypass mode most of the time. But when I boosted it, that's what I was using. So yeah. Awesome, man. If you have any questions about this thing, reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. Truck driver Sean, pretty easy to find. A fat piece of shit standing in front of a truck most of the time. Yep. I'm like herpes on the internet. I'm pretty easy to find. Anyhow, thanks again to Sweetwater for getting my hands into this thing here. Really, honestly, Sweetwater through this pandemic has been a huge help to my tiny little channel, making sure that I got my hands on some of the newest gear really quick. And they treat people good. They're not paying me to see, so I'm not an affiliate or nothing. I don't have an affiliate link. I don't have nothing. They're just good to me. And everybody I've sent there to my sales engineer loves them. So that's the trick. Get into Sweetwater, get yourself a sales engineer, start that relationship, and you'll have a whole different experience. I promise you. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass to have to call and talk to somebody instead of just ordering and just having it sent to your house. Yep, sure is. But like, I enjoy talking to my guy. Hopefully one of these days I'm gonna get a chance to like raise some hell with him in person. Yeah, that'd be great. He's a good dude. By the way, if you're looking for a sales engineer, I vouch for Brian. He's amazing. Brian Kearns. If you want to get yourself hooked up with one, call him and tell him the fat man sent you. If he goes, who's the fat man? Just laugh at him. Go, you know who that fat piece of shit is. All right, man. Thank you all for tuning in. This was the Archon 50 by Paul Reed Smith. And I will catch you in the next video. Yo, yo, yo. Next video.